Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm jealous.
Why are you jealous?
I'll show you because I am always stuck in the office, and when in this view, our viewers cannot see it. But if I switch here, you got the nice
Yes,
shimmer of water in the back.
I
It's
do. I
perfect.
love I love that.
It's actually perfect for our conversation today. Uh,
Correct.
Kind of, I don't know, feels kind of zen. It's nice. How are you?
It is. I'm good. I'm feeling good.
Okay, another week goes by. We have episode 12.
Yes, sir. We're on week 12 of doing this.
Okay. Um, what do we got? What do we have? What do we have going on today?
So today is, I think, a very important topic. We're going to talk about mind and body. It's important overall. But one thing I want to stress out first before we go on, ladies, this is out to my ladies and to you, gentlemen, as well. To know that between the ages of 40 and 45, it's the highest suicide rate for females. But hopefully, with today's episode, we can give you some tips about how to minimize that and help each other out, help your parents out, help your sisters, your any female that you have in your life that's important and between this age of 40 45, help her with setting the mind correctly with this big change that she's going through with premenopause and menopause for some. So yes, so we're going to talk about mind and body, and the four categories that we're going to go over are your mind, which we're going to go into meditation a bit. We're going to go into sleep, very important as you get older, movement, and exercise.
Perfect. you're you're able to recover because you scared me. Like the way it started, it was like a cliffhanger in a Brazilian soap opera. I'm like, holy shit, this is heavy stuff. Like we're talking about suicide. So yeah, we were talking about those four things, and we were talking about them. And I got to tell you, when we were prepping for the episode, I was a little petrified because I remember when I go back in time, if you were to ask me to watch this episode and just kind of absorb, maybe one thing would land with me, the rest I would immediately reject, just because culturally, and I'm talking about myself. I don't know how you guys feel, but like culturally for me, the way I was raised, things like when somebody said like meditation or yoga or mindfulness, I would automatically reject them without even listening to anything. But like the way I think of it right now, I like data, right? I like numbers. I like to see the proof. And if something is there to help me. If there's something I can enjoy, I'm in, right? So, for example, when there was a time in my life where I didn't eat Chinese. Was there a reason for me to reject Chinese? No. Same with like Indian food. Um, it's like you introduce yourself to something and then you see whether you like it or not. And I think this is kind of what we did with the things that we're going to talk about today, because we're going to be talking about like sleep and walk and light walking and meditation, and maybe mention yoga or something. And for a lot of people, it's like they will automatically reject it. So what I would ask is, before we do our formal introduction, because we're like 4 minutes in and people don't know what the hell we're doing here, um, just be open minded.
Yeah.
Just listen or not. Who cares? It works for us, and if it works for us, maybe it'll work for you. So that's exactly what we're here to do. What are we doing here, Joanna? Quick intro.
So basically, we are here to share our journey of losing weight and getting healthier. Um, we're doing this for the second time within a short period of time. And we just want to share what works for us. Has been the best way of losing weight, which is intermittent fasting, and just watching your sugars for the long-term health results.
Just yeah,
And yeah, and that's why we're here to share this with you guys.
just to put things in perspective, we lost collectively 110 pounds. We still have a goal of losing 100. We want to go back to our sort of high school, post high school weight. Whether we're going to be successful, I don't know, but we're here to document it. And for 12 months, we said we're going to go, and every week just kind of share the progress. and see the wins and the downs and the ups and whatever comes along, because that's reality. And that is really it. The main topic we have covered. I think we can go into our standard section and look at numbers, maybe.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So let's look at pictures. Before we look at the numbers, look at this beautiful view. So I was coming from the beach. I do the walks, as you guys know already, probably. And I was coming from the beach, and it's really kind of cool because at around 8:30 after sunrise, we have this nice sort of path road to the beach, and I just saw this, and I had to take a picture. So again, we're in the Zen mode today, so you're gonna see and hear a lot of that.
Perfect for
Um,
today.
yeah. As far as the numbers, let's look at Joanna first and see how she did this week. What's going
All
on?
right. So I'm at 188.4, which is zero point 0.4 down from last time. Um, I set myself a new goal because I've met my goal of being under 190. So my new goal for now is to reach to 180. Um, I
Mhm.
don't have a timeline for it because I noticed the timelines don't work. They just stress you out. Um, but it'll be nice when I reach it, and hopefully I do. I know I will, but not hopefully, I will. So yeah, so I'm at 188.4, a little bit down from last time. I see I am hovering around this weight. So this is the time to put something new in to spice it up. So that means that next week I have to do I for myself know what works, and that is a 36-hour fast. So next week I have to push myself for 36 hours not eating, and that will push me along.
Is it
So,
me?
and you, Martha?
Is it me now? So I'm gonna say my four least favorite words. You were right, honey. You.
One for you, ladies. It's for all of us.
I was no, I was. You were right. You're absolutely right, because you said water, right?
Mhm.
Um, I was sort of negligent about water drinking and whatever, and all I did was really I drank more water. I didn't do anything special. I didn't change my hours. I didn't change my eating. Quite frankly, I think I had one meal when I was in Orlando that I'm not gonna admit to. It was bad, and
Was it good? Did you enjoy it?
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Perfect. That's it.
I had some. I had some fried. Is it fried onions? You know what I'm talking about. Fried onions,
Yeah,
right? The onion rings.
onion rings. Mm,
Yeah,
yummy.
they're really good. And then nothing changed. Nothing really outside of that, and weight came off. 258 last week was 259.2. When I'm looking at these numbers here, this is where I was last week. So you guys can see the one spike when Joanna went away, and then it started climbing up, and now it's starting to go down again, which I am really happy with,
Yeah.
and that's it. And I'm not changing a thing. I'm just moving and drinking more water. I gotta tell you, when you told me drink more water and you started feeding me bottles, I was peeing too frequently. But then I just found my happy spot.
Yeah.
So as I always say, I like to pee between like not at least 2 hours, right, between peeing sessions, right? So I was drinking, what is it, a liter bottle?
Yeah, so that's what I want to mention. So I had a problem with I thought I was drinking enough of water, but I wasn't. And even this week I drank a little bit less than normal. So I tried an experiment. I went and got a case of 1 liter bottle waters and just put those in a fridge, and they seem to keep me on track better. And I see that it's helping you to just to drop that 1 liter and at least get that pure 1 liter in. And then the rest 2 liters you kind of get in throughout the day.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, so overall we're heading in the right direction. Like I said, I'm recovering. You're moving forward with the new goal. So yeah, the overall very good week. I hope you guys also had a good week, and just keep on going. And like I said, if you have spikes, don't worry. We have spikes
Yeah.
too. We're spiking up, and it's fine. It's like again. I always ask myself this question, like, is it, if I before I ask, like, hey, do I want to like give up? I'm like, is it December? Not December. Is it? We started in when? August, September?
August. August.
Yeah. So it's like I always ask this question, like, has it been 12 months, right? And if not, I just continue on going. So
Yeah.
because it's only fair to like do it for for an extended period of time, whether it's 6, not everybody needs to do it for 12 months, if you're more leaner or whatever. So, but it's fair to set this sort of a longer term horizon and say, hey, has it been 6 months? And then judge yourself, like, did anything change? Because if you're doing the thing, if you're doing the job, if you're doing this repeated, it's repetitive for you now, you'll get to the goal. Like, like Joanna said, like, I'm sure I'm gonna get there. It's just, it may not be next week, but like, I'll get there if I take the right actions.
Correct. You just got to keep moving and look at the week as the week passes. Look at back at it. What was, what could I do better, right? That could be, even like you mentioned a couple of times, the amount of nuts you're eating. Maybe decrease a little bit on that. For
Yeah,
me, it's water, 100% water. If I put in my 2 liters at least of water, I will move along.
yeah. So, our main topics, let's switch over, and I owe you a little bit of explanation. So I went fancy this week, and I'm like, okay, let's put some slides together, just because I wanted to have some sort of a framework. And I don't mean to freak you guys out. What we're gonna do is, like, look at the slides, and then just tackle the slide first, and then we're gonna give you, probably a good way to do it is like our own personal take on this, experiences. Even when it comes to meditation, like, we do things differently, we think of it differently. When it comes to, like, exercise or whatever we're doing, I think it's fair to say it, because when you're just looking at the slide, it's pretty dry. Some of it is like woo-woo stuff. So just stick with us. And the really kind of cool thing about this is that you don't even have to worry about, like, taking notes or whatever, jotting notes, because in the end, I actually have something for you that you can download. We're going to put it in our file section, which is going to be like a cheat sheet of what kind of you should be thinking about in terms of implementing. So if you like walking, or meditation is your thing, or you want to just to have some takeaways for, like, sleeping portion of it, everything will be in one document, all consolidated. I want to be as fancy as my wife. She always promises free stuff, so I just wanted to do it too. Now, when it comes to, we're going to start with meditation. I hope that's cool. Meditation okay with you?
Yeah, let's start with meditation. Sounds good.
All right, so the slide, my first question is this, because whenever I talk about meditation, this will turn into a conversation probably, but whenever I talk about meditation to somebody that's not meditating currently, you kind of get this weird look or some sort of a comment, or, and it's usually from the people that don't exercise meditation, right? So, because for those that do, they already know the benefits, so there's no questions. And I think meditation has a really sort of a bad name to it, like a name that when I thought, like, when we rewind back, let's say,
Yeah.
5-10 years, when somebody told me meditation, first thing that would come to my mind was like, a monk meditating, or some sort of a combination of, like, a person on a beach with the fingers up and just crossed, just kind of weird stuff. And I think that was sort of like a primary thing, because it's like, in our head we have this, I always talk to Joanna about, like, this table of, words and then associated meanings. And my table for meditation was messed up. Totally, because when somebody said meditation, that was my description. Like, I don't know, monk or hippie people, or maybe I need to smoke something to enhance the experience. So I really didn't know what it was until I tried it, really, with a guy that, like, kind of showed me the ropes. And weirdly enough, it was meditation session with the what is it called, the gongs or whatever, the sound
Yeah.
meditation, where they hit the gong, and it's just they call it, like, sound therapy or something. I gotta tell you, I don't remember being more uncomfortable than, like, sitting in that session. So that was one story. And then the other thing is also about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when we were still in Connecticut. I remember I was doing this exercise regime called P90X. And P90X, part of it, like, one day had a yoga session. And yoga was kind of, in my mental table, was almost kind of had the same description as meditation. I had absolutely no idea what to eat it with, what is it going to taste like, what are the benefits. And I remember, I'm like, you know what? But since I'm doing the whole protocol with the exercise, I'm like, I might as well just do it. Like, screw it. Maybe it'll help me a little bit, or would not. And yoga, I thought of it more like it's probably good for stretching. So that's how I started. And I remember vaguely, like when I was in the basement doing the session after the yoga, the last thing is, what do they call it, corpse or whatever, like when you lay down and you really do nothing. It's just like you rest, right? I remember that minute felt like it was just something I couldn't describe. Felt so good, right? Because you just exercised for 45 minutes and then you're just sort of relaxing, like you're not doing anything, not thinking about anything. It's kind of weird because they do the ums and stuff like in the video for P90X, you know, the that
Yeah.
still can't get over that. But just laying down and relaxing for a little bit, I remember like vividly, it was just one of the best things I've ever experienced, right? And this was brief. So now fast forward to recent. I mean, I've been doing meditation for 4 years now. I still get the people walking around like, you know, Marcia, like meditation, you know, I get the weird looks or whatever. And it's like, totally. And I advise you to do the same. As I always say, works for me. You should try it. Maybe it will work for you. But meditation, like I said, bad word maybe for some people. And I started looking it up, and then I saw sort of equivalent descriptions, right? And it says contemplation, introspection, mindfulness, stillness, or inner quiet. So with that, question for my wife. So which one is it for you out of those?
I believe it's calmness. It's just being at peace, my whole body and my mind. And focus to me is focus. It's the meditation will help you with your ability to focus on stuff, um, and it take a moment. So my personal adventure is with you. When you started, you recommended it. I started it, and the way that I find it, it's very helpful, especially with kids. So I noticed if I don't meditate for a week, because I sometimes get into this big rush, I don't have time, I got to do all these other things. I don't have time to take 15 minutes for me every day, 15 to 10 minutes, to do this meditation. And yet I get upset with everyday things. It's amazing. So 3 days in a row, I'll see that I get upset more in the evening, or get upset with my kids just existing in the house. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second, something's wrong here. Oh, I haven't meditated. I'll go and meditate, and that automatically changes. I am more patient. I am more focused at work. I can take more things on. When your husband upsets you, you can actually just calm down, take a breather, and then move on. It's wonderful. So, ladies, I'm talking to you because with your premenopause and menopause journey, part of it is you're going to have an anxious mind. It's natural. You're going to have problems with sleeping. Meditation helps you with that 100%. It will help you focus, even get into the breathing exercises that sometimes come with meditation, will allow you to relax before you go into sleep, so you'll be able to fall asleep and stay asleep too. So definitely helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. When I know sometimes like I'm thinking of like a frequent question that I get for meditation, because a lot of people think it's like this woo woo stuff where you actually have to like know what you're doing.
Yeah.
The nice thing about meditation is like, if I had to describe it the best way I can is you're basically not doing anything, right? Not
Correct.
thinking about anything, not trying, like that first description, contemplation. It's not a contemplation. Contemplation to me is like sitting there and thinking about something. And meditation, really, if I had to describe it, is not thinking or attempting not to think, because we go 150 miles an hour every day, right? So so meditation for me is this, like you said, it's this inner quiet, it's this stillness, and it's mindfulness is one of the new words that I have learned sort of in the journey, right?
Yeah.
um the it's the ability to kind of observe your thoughts as they kind of come in and leave and whatever. What that is helping with is that later on, when you practice meditation for a while, is that when you have a conflict, if there's something that bothers you, if there's something that happened that's maybe makes you sad or upset or whatever. With practicing meditation, you're actually able over time, after like 3-4 months, to sort of have this mechanism in place that detects that this feeling is almost coming up, right? So if you're
Yeah.
about to get mad, if you're about to get upset, if even when you're happy, even when you worry, sometimes when we have those negative spirals, when we're like, it's almost like you have a thought and then just progressively
Mhm.
get worse and worse and worse. Like those things you can actually observe just with meditation. And what happens during the meditation, I can tell you about like my experience. I started with guided meditation, so it was basically we'll show you the app in a second,
Yeah.
and some stuff that you can read into. But I started with guided meditation, and it was basic at the very beginning because I had no idea what I was doing. So it actually was super helpful to have. You can choose. They have female voices, they have male voices, and then you can basically turn it on, and it's basically some sounds or music, depending on the preference. And they have in the application, they have some classes that you can actually follow, so it's more, you can relate more instead of like sitting and trying to pretend that you know what you're doing. you can
Yeah.
just you can just play one of those, out of the curriculum that they have in the app. You can just pick, maybe I want to be less stressed, maybe I want to sleep better, maybe I whatever it is,
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
I want to
tons.
improve.
They have
Maybe
tons. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm
maybe I
sorry.
would like to improve my concentration. Then you basically follow the curriculum, the classes, and it's like a 10 minute, or 5 minute a day for 7 days, or you can choose the length. They have different courses, different options. And the guided meditation was where I started, because I had no idea. I'm like, somebody needs to tell me what I need to do. So that voice, having that guy like, hey, focus on your breath for first minute, or imagine a color, or imagine, whatever it is, you kind of get the idea, right? So you get the guided meditation. After a while, that voice actually started being in the way for me personally. So I'm like, I don't need this guy. He's interrupting me. Like when I get into like this flow of like no thoughts, and I'm just sitting there and just relaxing. When the thoughts go away, and then I have this dude saying something, or a girl, like it was actually counterproductive. So I started looking for another alternative, which we're about to show you. And that's what I did. So when somebody's asking me like, what do I do when I meditate? It's like nothing. You just sit there. And
Yeah.
the first experience I remember when I was doing it, when I closed my eyes, closing your eyes and pausing for a second feels so freaking uncomfortable. We go 150 miles an hour. We're always busy. There's always something on our mind. So even when you sit down, it not only feels weird, it feels like people are watching you. You're constantly, first thoughts you get, it's like, Jesus, what am I doing? You're questioning yourself. So a lot of thoughts. But with time, if you do it, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times,
Mhm.
those thoughts actually go away because the thing becomes natural, right? It's like adjusting your eating window. Like, let's say you
Yeah.
were eating breakfast at random times, and then you eat it at 10 o'clock. Like, the 10 o'clock after 2 months becomes a normal thing. So with meditation, it was the same thing, where like just sitting and pausing and like relaxing. Think of it, a lot of people like kind of reject meditation, but they love going to a spa. How is this different? It's not any different. You go to a spa, you relax, you close your eyes, they put some hot rocks. Not that I've tried, but they put some hot rocks, and all you're doing is closing your eyes and relaxing. A lot of people, if they do massages, same deal. All you're doing is just laying there and not trying not to think about anything, right? So
Yeah.
meditation it's the same experience with no rocks and no music and nobody touching your body. So the thing is, you just sit there, you're relaxed. After a while, after multiple sessions, you actually get comfortable. A lot of times I go to the beach and just sit there, close my eyes, and I literally hear people walking by. And let me tell you, the beginning was freaking me out, because my only thought in my head was like, holy shit, they're thinking I'm kind of a weirdo just sitting there with my eyes closed. But after that, that became normal. And now when I'm there and I can actually relax, what I started noticing is that it's actually, a lot of times you have those paranoid thoughts, or like, oh my god, somebody's judging me. Because I do meditation, I'm like, and I have data points now that like people don't judge me, people don't approach me, people don't say anything. Nobody ever approached me saying I'm a weirdo. Like, you get little data points of like, whatever I thought was wrong. So So a lot of times what that helps me with meditation is like, yeah, calmness is one thing, but a lot of times when I'm in a work environment, like a professional environment, or interacting with people, or just thinking, planning something, a lot of times I get those like thoughts, and then I'm like, well, what if they're wrong? And a lot of times they are. It's just like whatever your brain throws at you first. You don't have you learn how to adapt better, right? My father-in-law Frank always asks me like, how come you're so calm, when like shit happens or whatever. And I got to tell you, the secret is meditation, because it's like you go through those cycles. You kind of practice a lot with knowing that your thoughts are just random. They come in, brain throws all kind of different things at you, and it's like that ability to process and just being selective with what you tend to pay attention to gets better over time. So that's my experience. Anything you would like to add from your side, how you're experiencing this? Or
I do want to add some f- benefits that I've seen that are out there that I've seen on myself that are part of this meditation journey. I'm sorry, I wrote them down because I wanted to make sure I capture everything. So it definitely reduces stress, like we talk about. Improves sleep, 100%. When Marcin shows you the app, I will show you the thing that I used in order to go to sleep calmly. I use it with my kids as well. So improves sleep. It decreases blood pressure. 100% have seen it on myself. Decreased blood pressure. It enhances like the overall health, right? Because it's the mind, the body all together. That will help. Reduces the symptoms of depression. Why? It's the self-awareness that Marcin was talking about. If you can actually step out of your body and notice that, hey, I'm a little depressed. Why am I depressed? Then that's already fixing your depression to start with. Just the ability to see it. Anxiety, same thing. Remember, if you're anxious, which is normal for us women right now, take a step back. What makes me anxious, and does it have a real root cause? You're able to do that with meditation because, again, self awareness. The other thing is self awareness. That's what I wrote down and I kept saying it. So, yes, so these are the benefits that I saw on myself. And I definitely see when I don't meditate, they go haywire. And all of a sudden, I'm anxious and making up stuff that do not exist. So, yes, meditation, very important. And I love the guided meditation, even still now. It helps me focus. My brain tends to wander off, and the voice for Marcin, it disturbs him. For me, it ties me back into like, oh, come back, start thinking about whatever the process is. I love when I take my deep breaths to think about the breath going in from the top of my body all the way down to my toes and back again. That's my part of slowing things down and being aware of things.
this comes from a person that didn't do meditation. Kind of gets weird, huh? All right, let's look at the website for a second. So the website, the slides, and I just want to go through the main points. So understanding the basic meditation is a practice of focused attention, cultivates mental clarity and emotional balance. You're just calmer, right?
Yeah.
Stress relief, regular meditation reduces cortisol levels. I don't think we mentioned that, but that's what it's doing. So you're less edgy. You have more tolerance for your wife, for your husband, for your kids,
Yeah.
for anything, right?
Bosses, everybody. Yeah.
Any challenges, professional or personal. And then enhance concentration. I absolutely love it. I gotta tell you, like when I regularly meditate, uh, the time when I get to like work and focus my attention at work, um, it's just a night and day difference, right? So meditation strengthens neural pathways because it helps your brain and improves focus and cognitive function over time.
Mhm.
Um, Guarantee 100% that'll help you if you do it. Um, and the untethered soul techniques. So I got to tell you, after I did the story that I was telling you about the guy and the sound therapy or whatever, in my journey somewhere, I came across this book. I made Joanna read it, The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself, by Michael Singer. Great book. Gives you a good, when we were talking about like being sort of self-aware, um, definitely, I highly recommend this book because it'll give you a good, if you like to read, if you're a reader, maybe you do stuff on audiobooks, definitely something to check it out. And the book, this is gonna get a little woo-woo, but the book talks about like witness consciousness. This is just being able to observe your thoughts without like judging, and
Hmm.
just kind of observing. It sort of gets trippy because you're thinking about the thoughts that you're thinking. So it's like a double whammy. But it's with that you can then be able to kind of view yourself and view the way you sort of operate inside your brain. This practice creates distance from negative emotions. So true. Heart-centered awareness, focus on spiritual heart center. The technique fosters inner peace and emotional balance. This is all about your emotions. They talk about like storing emotions in your heart. A little too woo for me, to be honest. Read it. Maybe you'll love it. Not necessarily my thing, but I understand what they are talking about. They're basically talking about like coming to peace with something that's like in your past or whatever. Maybe some events that you're like holding grudges with events or people or things that
Yeah.
happen, and that's what they're basically talking about. And this is again ties to the energy release, consciously let go of stored emotions. This process frees up mental and emotional energy. There's actually, we could go deep on this one. There's a lot of like about energy and different emotions in your body having different sort of frequency of energy. I don't want to freak you out, but it's there's actually science behind it, but I'm not going to go deep. This is where we kind of need to stay. All right. I think we murdered meditation, and we can talk about sleep.
Yes, let's go on to sleep.
All right. Who's going first?
You go ahead. Because
All
you
right.
you you sleep is a big thing for you, and you
Oh boy. Oh boy. If you thought
think
meditation, I was passionate about meditation. Sleep, for me, huge deal. And weirdly enough, I was considering myself being a night owl. Back in the day when we started our photography videography business, it was really not uncommon for me to work until 3 or 4 in the morning sometimes
yeah.
weird, but at least until 2 in the morning, at least. I was always saying I'm not a morning person. I hated it. Joanna would get up at 5, and I was like, Jesus, how can you do it? Like, it was just sort of not my world. I labeled myself as a night person, as a night owl. Everybody knew me as a night person. So whenever now, I actually got a call from a friend, a text message and a call last night, and it was 10:20, and there's no way you're gonna reach me at 10:20. 10:20, I'm sleeping, man. Yesterday, I went to bed, and what time did I fall asleep? I actually started yelling at them because they came in bed and started having conversations after I fell asleep. What time was it? 8:30,
Like
9?
9:30.
Yeah, 9:30. So 9:30 is not uncommon for both of us to be asleep. And we follow kids' schedule because it's the easiest, right? Kids go to bed, and we usually go to bed. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes I don't know. I was like watching the other day a movie recommended by a friend, and so I stayed up longer. Joanna will talk about her habits, but I try to be very sort of regular with my sleeping. The science of sleep. There's three things here on the slide: memory, consolidation, emotional regulation, physical restoration. So, as far as the first one, memory consolidation, strengthens natural connections. It enhances learning and long-term memory formation. I can go and on this one, but the memory formation, guys, when I people that are working third shifts probably gonna hate me for saying this, but it's not the best thing you can probably do to your body. Our memory, I actually, when I was working late or just staying up at night until God knows what time, I've noticed after a while, and this is after like 3, 4 years of doing this consistently, I've noticed memory loss. Nothing significant, but I would just forget things and not remember things. And like Joanna would talk to me about something, and she's like, "We just talked about this," and so it's almost like early stages of dementia. I mean, kind of. It didn't really freak me out, but it was enough to the point where it was noticeable. I'm like, holy shit, I can't remember some things. This is caused because at night your system basically reorganizes information from the day, when your brain is all fragmented because you were sort of pulling things from different shelves throughout the day. It organizes it back into place, and a lot of times there's a lot of studies, you can look into that, for people, for athletes, for musicians, or what they have done in the past was they have studied musicians for a long time, pianists in this particular example, and they would have pianists playing music for, let's say, 12 hours straight, kind of learning the sequence, or learning how to play a certain piece. And what they have noticed is that they would never on the same day they would be able to do it, even though they've extended practices from like 4 hours to 6 to 8 to 10 to 12. What would happen though is that they would go to sleep, and immediately the first thing in the morning they would get up and just immediately play it. And it's tied, and it's tied to that cycle that happens overnight. So learning, long-term memory, that's why they say, hey, put your kid to bed early because we have a test tomorrow. That's exactly why they're saying this. It enhances memory when you're trying to memorize something, even when you're like your cognitive ability to just think clearly. What I tend to do, which is kind of which I think was kind of weird at the very beginning, whenever I make decisions during the day, especially when it comes to like important decisions, I never do it after 4 p.m. I know I kind of get weird with this, but I always say I gotta go and sleep on it. And it may sound kind of weird when I say it. I know some, like at the beginning, when I, even with my kids, they know, even with Joanna, like she knows, I would never make the decision after 4 or 5 p.m. I know I'm usually more tired, I'm fatigued, my cognitive function is not there. I can't, my information recall just, it's just shit. So I can't, like, it's just, I'm not, my batteries are not fully loaded. So when I get the sleep immediately in the morning, I wake up, I already have the decision. In most cases,
Yeah.
because your brain simply just recalls information, and it makes the logical decision making just breathes. So that's one thing. Emotional regulation. REM sleep processes emotions. It helps maintain emotional balance and resilience. If you guys are using your watches, if you're using your phones, some people do for like measuring their sleep. Some people have different devices. I don't know. But you'll notice that we go through REM cycles throughout the night. Some people will say 8 hours of sleep is bullshit. Some people will say that's has to happen. I don't know. I'm somewhere in between. But the thing is, we go through REM cycles, and if you wake up yourself with the alarm clock, you're always gonna feel much worse than waking up naturally, right? Sometimes when we wake up during the night to go to pee, you know that you kind of feel awake, and immediately after that you fall asleep, which is natural. Same thing in the morning. The question probably is like, well, what do I do? I don't use the alarm clock. I'll say yes. If you can figure out the time when your REM cycles are occurring, you're gonna see a night and day difference between how you sort of uh, how you how you operate, just to generalize.
And how you
So
feel too.
and how
It,
you feel,
mhm.
right? Because what happens really, and when it comes to like numbers and science, you're gonna see that your REM cycle is between hour and a half. That's just the same for all people. There's a couple minutes of difference for between maybe Joanna and myself, but if you can do complete cycle, it's almost better to sleep for, let's say, first hour and a half, and then the second, like you get 2 cycles in, and wake up after 3 hours, then sleep half of the next REM cycle. You're gonna wake up and you're gonna be halfway dead. That's why a lot of times when we have alarm clocks set, it's so hard to get up because you're halfway through your REM cycle. So just make sure. I don't know how many I get during the whatever, 3 or 4 or 5, but the last two are the most important. That's something that you always should keep in mind. So if you can adjust your time, and I know people are gonna hate me for saying like go to bed early because they have
Yeah.
obligations and they just wanna whatever stay up and do whatever they do. Um, but it is what it is. It's not my opinion. It's backed up with science. Speaking of which, if you're interested, I have another recommendation for you. Fantastic book by Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep, and this one it talks about sleep and what happens and all the cycles and all the chemicals, everything in your brain, the restructuring and what happens. There's a neuroscience behind it. I highly recommend it. Again, if you don't like to read, maybe an audiobook, but it's a great resource. Um, so the sleep cycle is super important. If you can figure out when you're going through them, and then adjust your sleeping uh, time frames so that you can wake up closer to end of the RM cycle, definitely recommended. Physical restoration, deep sleep repairs tissues. It boosts immune function and supports overall health. I don't have to add anything here. Sleep is important. We probably when we were younger, nobody cared about sleep. So if you're in your
Yeah.
30s, go and party. Don't listen to me. But if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 50s, 60s, definitely some. Now you're slower. You're not, boozing and going haywire. So definitely something you should be considering. Sleep is super important. Would you like to add anything before next slide?
Yeah, so sleep is very important for our brains, as we know, but it's important especially in the phases of the most change in your brain. So basically for babies, but we put them to sleep and they sleep a lot. But also for teenagers. I know it's hard, but keep your teenagers to a sleep schedule, just like when they were toddlers, little kids. Um, of course, it's a little bit harder, but shut off their devices at a certain time. They do need the sleep. Their brain is and hormones are going through the most change, and they need the sleep. That REM cycles, those REM cycles, are very important for them. If you do that, you will notice better attention span in school, better behavior overall for your teenagers, as well as just overall being happier. So sleep is very important. Now, to us older folks as well, um, again, your sleep is very important and you need it because not enough of sleep was linked actually to Alzheimer's and dementia as well, because your brain doesn't have the time to restore and do its fixing and molding and changing that it does naturally. So yeah, so like Marcin said, the people working those night shifts, the later shifts, are definitely more affected and have been proven to result in an older age of more dementia.
Um, I call it legal disclaimer. It's not legal, but it's a disclaimer, guys. We're so like there's just part of our life where we pay attention to. It's just sort of core values. That's what we care about the most. When we say put your teenagers to bed, you don't have to do anything. This is what we
Yeah.
find that it's working for us. Um, and we're very passionate about it. Nobody tells you to do anything. We're simply just sharing information. We have implemented some changes. Some have worked, some have not. We're still guilty, even when Joanna talks about like our girls going to sleep. I think they still go to bed too late because sometimes they go 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30. Sometimes weekends 10 o'clock, but like during the week, I rather have them in bed at 8 o'clock, probably even before that. And I know a lot of people are gonna like, holy crap, that's like. But teenagers, we already know adults need 8 hours, kids need 10 hours. Like for 10, and we can tell if they lose some sleep, if they don't follow the schedule immediately, the next morning it's we gotta like drag them off the bed because it's like everybody's just operating differently. They're unhappy, they're and they're letting you know that they're unhappy. So but what I wanted to say is like don't sort of absorb it as a religion. This is kind of what we're trying. Always think of it as like we're just sharing and you implement whatever you need to implement. um Anything else on sleep
No, that is it.
from your side?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, because I'm gonna add. Um, I think we're gonna run out of time. I think we're gonna have to convert it into like a two-part episode because
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good.
I don't want to like bore people and I don't want to overextend. But one other thing I wanted to talk about here is the circadian rhythm. Weird wording. I gotta tell you, when I came across this information, it sort of opened up my. I was dumb when it comes to sleeping. I never cared enough, I guess. But I came across this circadian rhythm. This is circadian rhythm is a natural internal process that regulates the sleep-wake cycle and other bodily functions over a 20-hour period. A lot of times when I talk to somebody, and it was me, I can relate because I felt the same way. When somebody was telling me about how sleep was important, I was like, yeah, whatever. But it was like, it was just my opinion without zero knowledge in terms of like reading or studying or looking into or listening to the people that actually knew more than I did. And they were mentioning circadian rhythm, and the thing is, when we think of our body, we almost think that it's a decision to go to bed or get up. So we think of it as like a mental thing, like a choice, and it's not. It's actually linked to our body and the way your body operates. There's a couple things going on here. Light is very important in the morning, and darkness is very important in the evening. Circadian rhythm, they actually have done studies where they show that even when you go to sleep, sometimes you guys wake up at the same time, right? Without even having an alarm clock set. Like, let's say on Saturday, it's Saturday. You should be sleeping longer. Why are you not sleeping longer? You're usually waking up at the regular time, and then you choose to do another REM cycle. So that's what typically happens on a Saturday or a Sunday. Um, but your body has an internal clock inside, right? So it actually knows how to. I think it's like 15 minutes this way or that way, but you'll wake up exactly at the same time. Like your body tracks. I don't think it's 24 hours. I think it's missing like 4 minutes. You can quote me on this. You can tell me that I'm wrong, but it's either 23 and 56 or 24 and 4 minutes or something like that. But the what happens is in the morning when we look at the clock, and I hope you can see it well here on the recording. Let's start at like 6. This is 20. This is midnight. Let's go to like 7. No, actually 6, 5. There's nothing at 5, right? And then we go through 6 in the morning, sharp rise in blood pressure. This is when we talk about like other episodes. We were saying, hey, you may have like a glucose spike and whatever. Like your body is just ramping up. It's a start of your like morning routine. So at 6 o'clock, that's what happens. Melatonin stops. Melatonin is that special juice that makes you sleepy and like tells you that you should be going to sleep. So that production stops. 8 in the morning, bowel movement, right? Everybody's in the bathroom. And then 9 o'clock, highest testosterone for guys. That's when it kicks in. It's not only for guys. I know ladies that I shouldn't say that. There's a I know one that has a high sex drive, usually in the morning and not at night. At 10 o'clock, there's a high alertness. 11, 12 o'clock, nothing really happens. Even 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and I think my camera is off. Let me just adjust it quickly. 2 o'clock, best coordination. Why is it that at 2 o'clock? Because at 2 o'clock, historically, when you go back in time to caveman times, this is where you would go out and like hunt and do stuff, and build things. So that's what happens. Fastest reaction time, 4 o'clock. It's that time. It's the hunting period. And then greatest cardiovascular efficiency. It's all the same stuff because during the day we're producing things. Highest blood pressure. We're getting closer to sleeping. So 6 o'clock, for those of you guys that are measuring your blood pressure, stay away from 6 o'clock. Like do it during the day, because at 6 o'clock you're going to be off. You're going to be off the same way as you're going to be off with your glucose when you're measuring first thing in the morning. So don't do that. Highest body temperature is at 7 p.m. And then melatonin starts. This is, again, the special juice. Tells you that you're tired. A lot of us make the mistake of then heading to the bedroom and turning on our TVs and devices. It will sound weird. We have removed TVs from our bedroom for that very reason, and I will not go back. Maybe when I'm, I don't know. Maybe I'll give up one day, but no TV in our bedroom. I know you guys are gonna hate that, but that's what we do. Again, works for us. You do what you do. Yeah. And a lot of us are on the phones, and we're guilty of that. We have no TV, but a lot of times we're looking at the phone. Same sort of thing. Light is just getting you like excited, and it's just confusing your body, because you should be actually dimming your lights in your house and getting sort of in this mode of like, I'm getting ready for sleep. A lot of people do meditation. A lot of people do reflections. A lot of people do thankfulness. They write their journals. Yeah. They read books, like just to slow down. But you shouldn't be staring at a device. I know we all do, including us. I try to stay away from it as much as I can. Usually, I fall asleep listening to stuff every day. So for me, that it just puts me out. I fall asleep in less than 10 minutes. And then Joanna, I think you do most. You do listening more than you do like watching. But sometimes you're in bed watching. But most of the time, I see you either listening or reading a book. Correct?
Correct. I read a book, I listen, and sometimes I journal.
There you go.
That helps too. I have a gratitude journal, and it seems to work the best, which is very funny. So on those days that I feel that my life is falling apart and nothing is good, nothing at all, I take out my journal and I'm like, okay, just write one thing that was good today. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, but my husband actually did this for me. The kids actually did this. The dog wanted to hug me. The cat didn't poop outside the box today. Great. you know, these little things you get to appreciate. And then your brain calms down and you're ready to go to bed.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so then we finish the cycle. Bowel movement suppressed at 10 o'clock, and then you go throughout the night, nothing happens. And then deepest sleep at 2. For me, I usually wake up at 3. I don't know how. Do you get up like more than once during the night?
I do, but I always did. That
Okay.
was since I was little.
Yeah.
I pee a lot.
Yeah. And lowest body temperature at 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, we start again. Actually, I think it's on the next slide. So let's just move on to the next slide here. Optimizing sleep quality, just some like recommendations, generic things. I told you guys not to write anything down because we're gonna have that cheat sheet in the end. But optimizing sleep quality, consistent schedule. I've talked about this. Maintain regular sleep wake times. This habit regulates your body internal clock. I've covered that already. So just try to be as consistent as possible. Cool environment. So your body knows that it needs to go to sleep and then it cools off. A lot of people like to. I know our daughter Kaya had recently said that she started actually not uncovering herself, but I know she would typically like bundle up and
Yeah.
before sleep and she would typically get hot and then she would be like show up in our bedroom every 15 minutes to like, hey, I can't sleep, I can't, so after she sort of decided to not to bundle up anymore, it helps with her body regulating temperature. And I know some people are not going to like this, but the reality is your body drops temperature, and you
Mhm.
usually fall asleep when I think degrees go down to between 2 and 4 degrees of your body temperature, and then you sleep. If that doesn't happen, you're not going to fall asleep. You're just going to feel very uncomfortable. So keep bedroom temperature around 65. This I'm laughing because we had cousins recently visiting us, and our temperature in our house drops to 68 at night, and it feels colder,
Colder. Yeah.
and they usually crank up their thermostats. So official apologies, but I'm not changing a thing. So if you're coming, get ready. And then this promotes deeper, more restful sleep. This is proven. I know that we always, whenever we crank up the temperature up, we always have like everybody. You would hear comments in the house after everybody gets up on like Saturday or something, like, "Oh, I didn't sleep well. I didn't, it was a bad night," and that's usually tied to temperature. Also, I wear this contraption sometimes. You guys see me either in the episodes or I don't use it every day. I use it for sleep. It opens up my nostrils. Deviated septum. If you have a problem with deviated septum, helps opens up your breathing pathways, and it helps me. Sometimes I use it overnight. I know girls like our kids use it
Yeah.
sometimes. I
Mhm.
know Joanna, you have tried
Yeah,
strips,
I
right?
like it too.
I use this thing. We're probably gonna include a link or whatever. It's a company Blaze. I don't know, 20 bucks, $26, and
Yeah.
there's just like bunch of them in here. Um, if it works for me, if it works for you,
Yeah.
great. Um, Digital detox. I mentioned the devices. Avoid screens before bed. Blue light disrupts melatonin production and sleep quality. It's true. Melatonin is being produced. It sees more light. It thinks it's daylight. It gets confused, and then it's gonna be harder for you to fall asleep. I know some people sleep with their TVs on. I don't know. At least try to use a timer or something because you're gonna wake up again. I'm gonna go back. Kaya, our daughter, Same thing. She was when she was younger. She was falling to sleep with lights on. Just didn't feel comfortable. Now I noticed that it was like pitch black. So I know
Yeah.
over the last 2 or 3 months, she's converting over. So the other day she was making comments about like uncovering herself more and then shutting down the light. And she's like, oh my god, she like basically was saying how great it is to like being able to sleep better. So that's proven. There's data behind it. And then relaxation rituals. You mentioned like journaling, meditation, practice calming activities before bed. Reading or gentle stretch can signal sleep readiness. I know you do. We're not going to get into exercise today because we do not want to overextend. But you do like a workout regime. Can you just mention a little bit for this episode? We'll maybe dig deeper next time.
Yeah,
What is it? What is that you're doing?
I do a little bit of strength exercise in the afternoon. It's usually it's later in the day. It's between 7 to 9 o'clock sometimes, right before bed. Um, and it's very small. It's 10 to 15 minutes. It's basically just rubber bands. I have them here because I thought we were going to go over our exercise, but it's just I get these rubber bands, and you get three of them, three different strengths, and you do different types of exercise to work out your muscles. I do some stretching before that, and that's it. Then I go to sleep,
Yeah,
and it helps.
yeah, and it's good enough. I got to tell you, back in the day when we were younger and knew nothing about it, exercise or eating right, I always thought the exercise is the way to get skinnier. So I would always go like crazy in the gym without really knowing what I'm doing. So we are not like gym buffs. I actually hate going to the gym. Not hate, strong word, but very close.
Mhm.
Um, and we're not fans of like this gym thing. We have some weights in the garage when we want to, like, if we want to go modify the workouts and we want to just go stronger. We do like the P90X or whatever.
Yeah.
Not at this point. Right now, we're just focusing on food. I believe, and Joanna believes that you lose that weight in the kitchen. 90% of your, or not, maybe not 90, maybe 80% of the success is in the kitchen and the food that you consume. And are you going to look more toned? Absolutely. If you're in the phase where you're building up muscle, absolutely. We're just saying we're just saying from the position where we stand right now. We are trying to lose weight. So if you're trying to build muscle and grow muscle and go to the gym, that's definitely a way to do it. We're just saying right now because we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. So like food and already focusing on losing weight is mentally brutal, right? Because you got to focus on it. It's not comfortable. You're dealing with the eating windows. So we're
Mhm.
not introducing that yet. Will we change that eventually to like tone up and look better? Absolutely. So I'm not saying exercise or gyms are bad. I'm just saying not right now.
Not right now. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so that's just a very short thing. Quality of sleep. I think that was it. We're light exercise. I think we're gonna stop here because we're at about almost an hour.
I
Um,
agree.
is there anything that you wanted to add to this?
I only the reminder, but I think we might do it next time. Not remind. I'm sorry. The Headspace app, which I use and love. But maybe we'll do that next time. Show everybody
Actually, let's you know what? Let's take a look. So which one did you want it to do?
the Headspace.
I have it, but I don't have a subscription. I know you use it, but I'm gonna just pull it up and show you guys Headspace. So Headspace is this little smiley guy, the orange bubble on the bottom there. In between health and sleep cycle, Headspace. When I open it up, this is what it is. And then I don't have a prescription subscription, but here I mentioned the courses, the classes. Do you want to
Yeah.
mention something here based on like what you see here, or
Yeah, yeah. So if I love the daily, it has a daily routine for you. I always start with 5 breaths. I do my whatever course I am doing at that time. And
yep,
I, like I told you guys, I love courses, so I dig through them. There's one for eating. There's anything and everything you can imagine. There's a course for it. And then it also has like reflection little videos that they create, or question and answers that I listen to while I kind of stop my meditating. It kind of, that's my thing to listen to. It has night meditation. I have my favorites that I listen to. Like Machi sometimes makes fun of me that I'm on my train. You know, there's like this old train that takes you away. So I love it. Love listening to it. It gives you the sound of a train going. I love it. It reminds me of being a kid and traveling that way throughout Poland. So that, as well as there's adding more and more meditation for kids, which I love, because Marston knows that I've tried with with the kids to
Yeah.
do meditation, to do breathing. Even my older one sometimes gets into like these panic attacks for absolutely no reason, or well, it is a reason for her, but not what I would consider to be a reason. She has learned to be take 5 deep breaths, hold it in for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, and she even said that she had one in class in school, and the breathing helped her. So yeah, I don't give up on my kids. I want to get them more into more regular meditation, but that takes work on my part, and I'm slacking at it at this moment.
Yeah, a lot of times, I second what you said. You said one of them has a panic attack. I think we have two. Without mentioning names, I think we have two ladies in the house that have panic attacks. But I'm not going to self-incriminate, so I'm not going to point fingers. But as far as the the classes here, like under the Explorer, you ever use this stuff here or no?
Yes, I do. This is where do sleep. Music, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Then, of course, meditation. And yeah, I dig through them. I do dig through them and look for the things that I like.
Okay. Care, I have nothing. I don't know what this is. And this is, oh, look, total meditation time, almost 6,000 minutes. Yeah, this application really started. I was on this thing for joined in 2020, like kind of on a permanent basis. I had a membership. And so what, 4 years ago, almost, yeah.
Yeah.
And this was great at the beginning. So I did it for like 2 years just with the guided meditation, and then I moved on to another app. Is it okay if I move to the other one?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other one, the one I use, I have it on my front page, front and center. I have the application in the right upper corner, Insight Timer, and this one has the gong. Um, and when I get in here, it's very similar. Like you have the mornings, the sleep, the whatever, very similar, right? Like you would imagine. I think they have courses. I use it in a very simplistic format. I basically go under my timer, and I already have the sort of music and the presets that I like. I do meditation. I also do visualization. If I really want to freak you out, we're gonna get there someday. But I go in here, and it's basically a preset. I do my meditation for 14 minutes. My visualizations are for 10, for those of you that are doing visualizations. But meditation 14 minutes, and I basically just pick one that day, and I click on it. And here I just say, you can pick the sound. All it is it's like you hear the gongs just to let you know, like an audible signal that like you're halfway through it or something. So you can say, hey, give me four, like on the fourth one, I know I'm getting closer, and then you kind of snap out of it. But I have it set to 14 minutes, and then I have my sound, and then I just hit start. Is there audio?
No.
That's okay. But you just basically hear the audio. Hold on, there should be audio. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Piano start. I'm looking for it. I don't know. Maybe it's not here. Doesn't matter. But you kick it off, and then 14 minutes in. At the beginning, I wouldn't worry about 14 minutes. Like if you could just sit there with your eyes closed and just try not to think about anything.
Yeah.
It's almost like imagine yourself sitting on the beach. You close your eyes and you have the sun in your face. You're usually like, it's so much easier to relax that way than sitting in a busy space or sitting in your office and trying to do the same thing. Like your mind, you're just gonna be freaked out, right? Trying to do it in a public space. So that's really what it is. They have some things here very similar to the application that Joanna was showing. Morning meditations. They have like group meditations. You can join and like
Yeah.
you can do it as a group if that's your thing. Like a lot of people don't do yoga by themselves, but they like to go out and do like whatever, a hot yoga in a group. Most disgusting thing I think, but whatever. Some people dig it, and I know it works for you. It's just I can't get my brain to do it. I'll probably never do it, but you have tracks, you have courses. This is really awesome because you can go in, you can they different courses have like different vibes, so teachers teach differently. So like you just got to find one that's not so maybe hippie or not too calm. But like once you find your own guy, I don't use it. I've tried. It was kind of cool, but like for my daily thing, I don't have a time to like. I don't have half an hour to sit through a session. Very often, I'm working, I'm busy or whatever in the morning. I just do my 14 minutes. I have music playing, different music every day or whatever, and I just chill for 14 minutes. So that is that. We've covered applications. You can see 27 minutes and 37 seconds past my eating window. So it's almost time to eat. That means this episode is almost over. One other thing that we, of course, wanted to say, if you're listening on Audible, if you're listening on Spotify, maybe you're viewing us on YouTube, this material and much more, and questions and ability to interact with us and the group of people in our Facebook group, if you can either scan the QR code or you can just type it in Glucose Guardians on facebook.com/groups/Glucose Guardians. You can find us there. Very often, very soon actually, because we're into month 3. We're considering locking the group. Right now, everybody has access. So if you're considering joining, this is still a good time. Please join us. We'll be more than happy to have you. And more sort of personal attention if you have questions or you're wondering about things, or maybe you have questions about meditation application or whatever, you can find us there. Any sort of last words?
That is it. Give meditation a try. At least the app. Give it a try.
Right.
It,
You
it
gotta try
def-
it at least one. Even if you hate it, prove me wrong.
yeah.
I challenge anybody. If you're gonna do it, I would say, what would you say like is weak enough to like really kind of?
Well, the app
I
offers the first month free, so I
Oh,
would take advantage of it. It's definitely good enough. There's a basic course, which is it's a short course, but it's very helpful. That's how I started,
yeah,
and start with that, and it's so worth it. So worth it. You
yeah,
don't know how worth it is until you try it.
totally with you. And I think that's what I did. I did a course, and it was like a 2-week thing with 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes every day, and that got me going. That kept me regular, and you can enable notifications so it like reminds you every day, and it's easier that way. So that's it from us. Everybody, have a great Thursday.
All right, take care, everybody. Fast on, my friends.
See ya. Bye.